So, I mean, we're starting to see this sort of apartheid type vaccination system where, if you're vaccinated, you get certain privileges. If you're unvaccinated because, you don't want to take the vaccine or you have natural immunities because you already had COVID, you're going to be denied certain privileges.
I literally cannot put into words how unbelievably shameless and evil what she just said was. And there can really only be one explanation for why she's saying this. The only reason Republicans compare things like mask mandates and vaccine mandates to things like the Nazis and the apartheid regime is because what they want to do is very similar to what those governments did. They are already busy denying people the right to vote and throwing people in jail for no reason and running concentration camps for migrant workers and violating the rights of indigenous people. They are already doing that. The only reason why they're trying to make a comparison between those governments and vaccine mandates is because they are trying to underplay the seriousness of how horrific those genocidal regimes were. Because let's be clear about what happened under apartheid South Africa. Apartheid South Africa literally had a top secret chemical and biological warfare program specifically targeted towards the indigenous black population in South Africa, where they intentionally exposed people to cholera and provided anthrax to the racist Rhodesian army.
She doesn't make any mention about any of the patients that she has in her practice as to whether or not any of them already had it and whether or not natural immunity suffices and meets that mandate, nor have I really heard this anywhere else. I really wish that's not science. That's not science. The coercion and bullying is not science if we're going to have a discussion about following the science.
And this is ridiculous. Look at her. She's saying follow the science. I can tell you this. Look, I have a master's degree in biosecurity and biodefense. I know a thing or two about policy making when it comes to public health. And I gotta tell you this is very important. Vaccines work at a population level by lowering the population-based risk of exposure and susceptibility to a virus. It only works if enough people are vaccinated. That is how, ultimately, you need to stop a pandemic. It's how we stopped smallpox. So there is an obvious policy conclusion there, right? What is the obvious policy conclusion? The obvious policy conclusion is if you need 90% of the population to get vaccinated in order for the vaccine to truly have the effect we want it to have, then you have to put in place vaccine mandates. That policy is the natural consequence and conclusion of the science. It is very basic stuff, but she is running around here spreading lies. The only reason Republicans continue to spread doubt about this is because they spread doubt initially in the beginning because they didn't want to shut down. They didn't want to close down the economy because the line had to go up, and so they didn't want to risk temporary short-term profits to literally save millions of lives. This is Ben Carollo with Rebel Headquarters. You can catch my show Galaxy Brain on the Young Turks Twitch channel every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. You can also follow me on Twitter if you want to stay up to date with my content.